right, this is going to be notes on Lesson M, adding and solving fractional equations. Now, the reason students get this a little mixed up is because when you add two fractions together, you want to find a common denominator, and then the answer has that common denominator. But when you see the word solve, you want to get rid of the denominators. So you're multiplying everything to cancel them. So it's really important that you know the instructions are either combine, it might say add or subtract, or if the instructions are solve. Okay, so you've done all of this before. This is review. We're going to start with example 1 and go for there for 15 minutes. Are you ready? Do you get it? Are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go. Okay, 1a. So if we have denominators that are 3 and 4, then what would be the least common denominator? It would be 12, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply each, you want to make the common denominator. So we're going to multiply this one by 4. Now legally I can't just multiply the denominator, so I need to multiply the numerator also. We're going to multiply this one by 3. 3 over 3. Okay, we're not solving for x, we're combining two fractions into one. I'm going to move down here, I'm going to put the equal sign here. Once you get a common denominator, do not write two fractions. Once you get a common denominator, you need to have only one fraction, and the one fraction has our denominator of 12. Okay, now in the numerator I have 4 times x, which is 4x, minus x times 3, which is 3x. Now can 4x minus 3x combine like terms to get x over 12, and you're done. How do you know you're done? You're in one fraction, and the fraction's been simplified. Okay, now this one is not an equation, it's an expression. Even though there's an equal sign, there was nothing on the other side. You were trying to find what was on the other side. This one is a full equation with stuff on the left and stuff on the right. So to solve this, we want to get rid of the denominators. So to get rid or undo the denominator of 3, we're going to multiply this by 3, and it will cancel or divide out. Now, you ready? This rule is different than this rule, but they're both like number 1 rules of algebra. So the rule over here is if you multiply the bottom, you have to multiply the top. You're multiplying by 1. We're not going to do that here. This rule is the Algebra One Rule. If whatever you multiply here, you have to multiply to everything or to both sides. Now tell me, is this correct? Is that enough? No, because we have to do everything in the equation. So even this term here needs to get a dot 3. Okay, so I like to go, now that cancels the 3's, correct? Now, but we still have a denominator of 4. So how do we cancel the 4? Multiply everything by 4. So what I like to do when I teach, I go dot 4, dot 4, dot 4, like that. Okay, now we have a huge mess, and usually we can't be successful in math with a mess, but this is just how these questions go. What do we have in this first term here? We have an x times a 4, because the 3's cancel. So x times 4 is 4x. Now here, the 4's canceled. That's why we chose to multiply by 4 and not by 11. You know, we chose 4 to cancel 4. So we have 4x minus 3x is what was left over there. And that's going to equal 12 times 3 times 4, which is 12 times 12, which is what? 144. Yeah, 12 squared. All right, 4 minus 3 is 1. And that's it, right? I feel like nope, I didn't do anything wrong. Okay. There's something weird on the notes. Oh, they checked their answers. So x equals 144, we solved. So number 2, you're going to read on your own off the notes, and we're going to do 3, and I hope we can have time for 4. So to combine, this is two fractions we want to combine into one. Now in middle school, you spend a long time trying to figure out what the least common denominator is. It's not that hard. You're just going to multiply by the other one, once you're now in algebra. So this first fraction will get the denominator of x over here, and then the second fraction will get the x plus 2. You have to multiply. You can't just add 2 to that one. That would be silly. Okay, so now do you agree we have a common denominator? Yep. Okay, here's a little hint. Ready? Triple D. Triple D, don't distribute the denominator. Okay, we're going to leave it factored. We like factors. We like factors. Why do we like factors? Do you know? They cancel. Okay, so if we if you distributed it out, we couldn't cross anything off. So we like factors, so don't distribute. By saying we like factors, I'm saying we like it to look like this. X times x plus 2. Don't distribute the denominator. Okay, now in the numerator, you will distribute and combine like terms. So what do we have first in the numerator here? What is this going to be? 12x, good. Thank you. Wakey, wakey. Okay, you ready? This is like the #1 mistake high school students make. Do you see how this says minus 4? The #1 mistake students make. I want you to try and find the mistake. Ready? Minus 4x plus 8. What's the mistake? Is the negative 4x correct? Yes. Is the plus 8 correct? Why not though? Why not? I did 4 times 2. This minus sign in front needs to go with the 4. So you're really distributing a negative 4. So we're going to erase the plus 8 and put minus 8. Do you see how a lot of students would make that mistake? Yeah? Okay. Are there any like terms to combine in the numerator here? What can we simplify? 12 minus 4 is 8. Oh, this is fun. Do you see a common factor in the numerator? One thing that's a little annoying about AP Calculus is that all the answers are always extra factored. Like they factor for no reason. So do you see how we have a common factor of 8 here? We're going to factor that out. And I'll explain for no reason. Okay, so when we factor the 8 out, what are we going to get in the parentheses here? X minus 1. So even though we factored, does anything cancel? Is anything the same on the top and bottom? No. So, but that's how AP Calculus, the multiple choice, students can get the right answer, but then this is what's in the multiple choice. Do you understand that? All right, let's do B here. So we're going to solve now. Now this is going to be a mess. So do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spread this out, like write it so I have lots of room. Really stretch it out. Okay? Because in order to solve the equation, we're going to multiply everything by x plus 2, like this. And the point of that is to cancel the first denominator. Divides out. And what else do we need to multiply by? That x, because we want to cancel that. So everything is also going to get a multiply by x, multiply by x, multiply by x. But do you see this one in the second term here with the 4? Why did we put this x here? What was the point? To do what? To cancel. So that needs to be canceled. Don't distribute that. Okay, ask yourself, what canceled and what's left over? So in the first term, only a 12x is left over. Minus, what canceled? The x's, and what's left over? So let's just write this and we'll distribute on the next step. Nothing canceled over here. So we have a x plus 2 times x, like that. Doing okay? All right, let's distribute, combine like terms, and see what kind of equation we have. We should have a linear or a quadratic. You ready? Get set. Here we go. Minus 8, distribute, and then this is going to be x times x and x times 2. All right, do we have a linear or a quadratic? And what do we have to do to quadratics? Set equal to 0. Do you want the 0? I want my x squared to be positive. So I'm going to keep my 0 on the right side and keep my x squared positive here. Okay? Now, this is a little silly. I should have combined like terms. Let's do 12 minus 4, but I have room. Everyone okay with this step? I snuck it in there. So if there are 8 x's on the left side, I need to subtract those 8 x's to the other side. So this was our instructions. Minus 8x, minus 8x. So 2x minus 8x is negative 6x. Are y'all with me? Here we go. That canceled that. We're going to add the 8 and add the 8. So I have this. Can we factor and solve? I'm going to go quickly. Multiplies to get 8, but adds to get negative 6. Yep. So x equals 2 and x equals 4, and that's our final answer. Okay, we started with a rational, but then we ended up with a quadratic. Not my favorite type of math problem to solve, but it is what it is. We can do it. Okay, ready? Number 4, and I am going to run out of time, but we'll just do the best we can, okay? Okay, you ready? When you're given this, you must factor first. So you guys are getting all my little tricks. Don't distribute the denominator, factor first, dot blank, dot blank. I'm going to, why don't you pause to write down the question? Okay, I paused to factor, and now we're going down. We've got to make a common denominator, which means we need to make these look the same. So I see that this one has a 2, so this one needs a 2, right? Because I don't see a 2 there. So we're going to put a 2 on this one. How do I legally put it in the denominator? I'm going to multiply by the top, so we'll have 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, do they look exactly the same? No. Let me see. What do you notice here? This one has 2x minus 3's, and this one only has 1. So the first term needs an x minus 3. While I'm showing my work, you guys, it doesn't matter where I write it. I could write it over here. Y'all agree with that? Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Now, remember, I run out of time at 15 minutes, okay? Is our denominator common? Is it the same? Yes, so do you see how my 2 fraction lines become 1 fraction? Okay? Because once we have a common denominator, we only have 1 fraction. You could write that as x minus 3 squared, I guess. I just didn't think of it right now. Okay, do you distribute? You don't distribute the denominator, but in the numerator, we're going to distribute and combine like terms, just like in 7th grade. So here we're going to have x times x and negative 3 times x. So x times x is x squared, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Then I see a minus, and what's this? 2 times 3 minus 6. Now, this smells like I can factor it, but what do you think? Do you think we can multiplies to 6 but adds to 3? No. So actually we're done, okay? Because that can't be factored. I'm going to pause and do a few steps of B. So I canceled these denominators in 2 different steps. You can pause to see my work, and then the rest is on the paper.